How would you sum up Asha Bhosle's legacy and her place in Indian music history?
Asha Bhosle was, uh, to place, uh, uh, we have to first place her in the history of Indian Hindi cinema music because, we have to go back in time slightly because when she started, she was the younger sister of Lata Mangeshkar, who for the longest time remained the number one singer, even when Asha was there struggling, even when Asha got, you know, hit songs, big movies, and she was considered a rival to Lata Mangeshkar. But even as a rival, she, for the most part of her career, remained number two. But that is in no way saying that she was in any way a lesser star or a lesser singer. She realized her niche. She realized the power and style, a distinct style of her voice, developed it over a period of time, and uh, created her own distinct identity. And that was not an easy thing today, easy thing to do because no other female singer over the decades, when Lata Mangeshkar was reigning supreme, was able to survive, let alone thrive. Asha Bhosle survived the Lata Mangeshkar reign and thrived and became the legend that she is.
My next question would be, how did she manage to stay relevant and reinvent herself across generations?
I think you have to give like we use this word in Hindi, which is zinda dil. Like I think that was a part of her personality. Every time I met her, and that was towards the last few decades of her life, she used to talk as if she is a youngster. And also, like one peculiar thing, if you remember, around 90s or early 2000, she released this album called Rahul and I, which was like Rahul was R.D. Burman, and she selected a few songs, even made videos of it, which were very prevalent during the 1990s. Most of the artists of Lata Mangeshkar's age or Asha Bhosle's age of a certain vintage, they are not open to the idea of recreating or remixing their song or any new thing that has come into Indian Hindi cinema music. But she was one of those few rare artists who welcomed the changes, and she herself released those remix albums. She was a judge in all those music competitions, and she was open to singing new songs, praising new singers. I think she was in the rhythm of I think the generations keep changing, times kept changing, but I think Asha Bhosle remained constant. And I think that Zinda Dili part in her personality, I think, apart from her brilliant singing, I think that kept her relevant throughout.
So, what personal or lesser known aspect of her life stand out to you the most?
I think, like I told you, when let's go back slightly. Like they both started simultaneously. Lata Mangeshkar started in 1945, and Asha Bhosle almost uh, at the same time started struggling in the Bombay film industry, and she got her first solo song in 1949, and that was exactly the year when Lata Mangeshkar became an overnight star with a song in Mahal, the famous song Aega Aane Wala. And with that, Lata started getting all the big assignments. All the A-lister music composers were going to Lata, and she kept struggling getting B-grade songs and low-budget films. She was there. She remained there for a very long period of time till 1957 when she had met Open Ayer a few years before and they had worked together. But the year was 1957 when they worked together for this film called Naya Daur, a B.R. Chopra film, and it was headlined by A-listers like Dilip Kumar and Vajanti Mala. And it was a musical blockbuster, and that was a game changer for Asha Bhosle. 1957. It was also the year when S.D. Burman, who was a top music director, uh, he had some issues with Lata Mangeshkar, and they both stopped working together for at least 5 years. And those 5 years, Asha Bhosle became S.D. Burman's main female singer. And so together they were two big music composers. There was O.P. Nayyar and there was S.D. Burman, with whom Asha Bhosle was working and giving hits after hits. Even then, in those 6 years, almost a decade, despite giving a number of chart busters, she remained number two. And that's a frustrating position to be in, because with number two, you can say you were the rival to number one, but it wasn't the case. Lata Mangeshkar was way, way ahead uh, in the hierarchy, and that kept pinching her for a very long time. And I think it was in 1966, around the time when she met R.D. Burman, and that's where the complete demarcation of creating a distinct style in Asha's singing happened. All those Western songs mixed with Indian beats, the typical R.D. Burman style, and that's where Asha Bhosle came into her being. And I think there was one thing which always every music director said, that Lata Mangeshkar is better in classical singing, the Indian style songs, romantic songs, and ghazals. And that's I think with Umrao Jaan, Asha Bhosle completely changed that perception also. And so it took a number of decades to create that distinct identity. Successful she always was, but to create a distinct identity, going from just being a singer, a top female playback singer, to a legend, I think that happened in the 70s and 80s. And she remained relevant throughout, like her sister. If you go back to DDLJ, so Lata Mangeshkar is singing to Tujhe Dekha To Ye Jana Sanam, and in the same film, Asha Bhosle is there, Zara Sa Jhoom Lu, and two completely distinct songs, and also explains their distinct styles. Lata Mangeshkar was doing Hum Aapke Hain Kaun, and Asha Bhosle, in her own distinct style, gave a blockbuster Rangila, and she was there in Tal with A.R. Rahman, Lagan. So she remained relevant, she remained active, and her voice never really aged. And it's not just that we say that because we are talking about her. I think that was the truth, and that youthful quality always remained, and that kind of made her distinct from her sister, and gave her a completely different and solid identity.
Okay. So it will be my last question. Uh, According to you, what is the best way to remember and celebrate her contribution to the industry?
I think the most important way is to celebrate her songs, and not just because when you think about Asha, we use words like shokhyon wale song, ada wale song, romantic songs. But I think she had a very hidden quality in some of her songs. And my personal favorites are those songs, like the song from Umrao Jaan, and particularly the songs written by Gulzar, Ijazat, there was Libas. And I think you have to look at her range and you have to celebrate that range. And how can we celebrate such a big artist? I think to listen to her songs, to praise her, to keep her alive through those songs, and even those remix songs. I distinctly remember her album Rahul and I. As a college going guy who was not very familiar with her 1950s Opie Nayyar songs. I think people recognize her more through R.D. Burman's song. But if you go back to that album, the remix album, I think that will give you an idea of her range and how she could compete with the best of singers, the newest, youngest of singers. That was a quality, and I think that should never be forgotten, and she should be celebrated for the one for being the lone singer who not just survived but thrived and created a solid identity, a distinct identity for herself when Lata was there reigning supreme.